I'm Nate Halubka, and I work within the North Carolina Pandemic Recovery Office. Thanks for joining us today with PROtalks. So, if you joined us with the previous PROtalk, what we talked about is pre-contracting checklist for non-entitled municipalities, those that are getting their funds from the federal government via the state. You're not those that are getting it directly from the federal government. And what we talked about in the first video was how to get your DUNS information and how to submit it on sam.gov. So if you missed that one, make sure you go back to part 1. Because today, what we're talking about are the 10 no-nos, the 10 things not to do with your W-9 and your electronic payment forms. These are 2 forms that our office needs to be able to make sure that you get your funds in a timely manner. All right, so on to the top 10s. Again, these are 10s that you don't really want to do. All right, number 1. We've all been there before. You've missed an important box. Make sure that you fill out the boxes that have the red asterisks in them. It's a huge reason why a lot of these forms have to be kicked back. It's simple. Go back, double check it, get somebody else to make sure that they're checking it. Just make sure that you don't submit one of these forms with one of those boxes empty. Number 2, not entering the 9-digit zip code. Now, we know it's a zip code that you don't use all the time. You're used to using just the normal zip code. What we want you to do is make sure that you submit the 9-digit zip code, and if you don't know what that is, simply go to the United States Post Office website, and there's a post office box locator. And what that will do is you punch in your address, and it will give you that 9-digit number. Now, if you have a PO box, it's likely your regular zip code plus that post office box number that gives you that 9 digits. All right, on to number 3. Not entering your DUNS is a big reason why these forms get kicked back. All right, this should be a pretty easy one if you watch part 1 with us, because we walked you through how to get your DUNS number. In this case, just take that DUNS number and plug it into this box right here. Number 4, not matching your remit to address. Now this one is a little bit trickier because sometimes what your legal address is, maybe where your offices are located, is different than your remit to address. That's where you're used to receiving, state, federal, and other funds. All right. Now what we want you to do is make sure that on your W-9, the same remit to address is also located on your electronic payment form. A big reason why these have to be kicked back is because those 2 remit to addresses don't line up. Now, if it's a case to where your legal address and your remit to address are the same, simply just leave them, just put your legal address and make sure that legal address is submitted as your remit to address. Just make sure the 2 line up. All right, on to number 5. Okay, leaving out a blank or voided check. Now, this is just a checklist to help you pull all this documentation together. And in video number 4, what we're going to do is show you how to load this together. Now, what we do need you to do is go ahead and get a voided check prepared or work with your bank on letterhead to get all of that information that they need to be able to make sure that those funds can be transmitted. Don't leave that out or else we can't get you your money. And I don't think anybody wants that to happen. Number 6, missing signatures. This should be really easy. Make sure that that person that is likely going to be signing your contract is signing for it. Now, make sure it's on both of the forms down here at the bottom. All right, so like we said, it's likely the same person. Make sure that all the boxes are filled out and that they're lining up. Number 7, leaving out the agency contact information. Now, this is actually found on your electronic payment form. And if you downloaded the form from our website, we've likely already filled it in for you, and it's probably me. All right. Now, what may come up is if you get the form from somebody else or download it from maybe OSBM or the Office of State Controller, that box may not be filled out. All right. So make sure that if you don't have it filled out, whenever you get it, make sure you contact our office and get the correct agency contact. It's also can be found right here in the video. Moving on, leaving the entity box unchecked. This one's pretty easy. All right. Now, if you go down to number 12, all you're going to do is check the other box and put your municipality's name in there. Now, after you do that, make sure that you're selecting the local government entity. Not selecting that or not selecting any of those boxes is another reason why they're kicked out. Make sure that number 12 and number 13 both are checked, and then in that other box, you're putting your municipality's name. All right, on to the last one. waiting until the last minute. Now, this is not a box that can be checked on here. If you go back to the original checklist that we have on there, we're going to have the dates when you have to submit that stuff. Please do not wait until the last minute to submit these. We want to make sure that you get your funds, so that's why we're going through the pre-contracting checklist. Make sure that you get these knocked out well in advance so that if there are any hangups or there's anything that has to be taken care of down the road, that there's enough time for it to be sent back and corrected and then sent back in. Look, we can all get through this. It's a lot of paperwork, but it will also help your community do a lot of really great things to recover from the pandemic. Thanks, and join us for video number 3, where we go through the rest of the things on the forms. We'll see you in video 3. Thanks.